The American Revolution brought many hardships to the 13 colonies, fighting a war that was nearly a decade long, enduring death, hunger, shortages, and hyperinflation. As has been the case throughout all of history, one man's misery is another man's gain. The Continental Congress had issued promissory notes that had served as currency. Over the course of the first few years of the war, they'd extinguished the Continental's value to worthless slips of paper. The army began to pay for supplies with receipts, another form of promissory note, and the Continental Congress turned in desperation to the nation's first national banker. Robert Morris was considered to be one of the most knowledgeable men with regarding to banking. He offered the desperate Congress a solution to its currency problem that plagued them. He would set up a bank that would mirror the Bank of England to finance the war effort, the Bank of North America. This bank would be the first national bank of the United States as well as the first commercial bank. The core concept was simple. Specie would serve as the base currency, and the inflationary fractional reserves, in the form of paper notes, would be pyramided on top of them. This practice of lending out more notes redeemable in specie than the bank could redeem at one time mirrored that of the Bank of England. Robert Morris, in order to have enough specie to launch the bank, directed specie that had been loaned to the United States by France for the war effort into the private bank. Some may go so far as to say that the money that started the bank was embezzled. The bank opened in 1782 and received the privileged status from the government as its notes would be redeemable in all duties and taxes to the government, on par with specie. No other bank was permitted to operate in the country. In return for this monopoly of banking power, the bank would loan the federal government most of its newly created currency. The bank was made the depository for all congressional funds, and the Bank of North America, the United States' first central bank, in turn, quickly loaned the Congress $1.2 million. The American markets lacked confidence in the notes and were discounted outside of the bank's home city of Philadelphia. Morris would go on to use his power in Congress and the monopoly of the bank to funnel war contracts into the hands of his friends and business associates. After the war concluded, Robert Morris felt his political power slipping and shifted his bank's charter to one under a Philadelphia private commercial bank. By the end of 1783, all of the United States' debts had been paid, and the first experiment with central banking in the United States was over. But the problem of inflated currencies was still haunting the United States. After the war, shipping lanes with England reopened, and specie began to flow away from the colonies. The colonies, in order to pay off debts from the war without raising taxes, once again turned to the inflationary process of printing more money. Regional central banks were chartered in New York and Massachusetts. Once again, the inflated money supply drove out the remaining specie in circulation and created another shortage of money rather than improving the situation. Foreign merchants would not accept the money, as the lenders abroad would not accept the notes. Join us in our next video as we go over the problems of a bimetallic standard.